For years, Mars has been our silent neighbor, a planet we've explored through lenses, sensors, and machines that whisper across the void. But this time, one of those machines, NASA's Perseverance rover, captured something it was never meant to see. In a faint, blurry frame taken from the Martian surface, scientists noticed a ghostly light hovering against the crimson sky. At first, it looked like a star, but it wasn't. It was moving, slowly, deliberately. It was 3I Atlas, the mysterious interstellar object that has defied every law of astrophysics since the day it was discovered. What was supposed to be a simple image turned into a revelation so disturbing that NASA scientists went silent. Because hidden within that image lies something that challenges everything we know about light, matter, and the boundaries between the natural and the artificial. The question isn't what the rover saw. It's why 3I Atlas appeared exactly there, above Mars, as if it was meant to be seen. It began with a simple capture, a faint smudge next to a handful of dim stars. The Mastcam Z camera aboard Perseverance recorded it almost by accident. One Martian day before 3I Atlas reached its closest approach to the planet. At first, scientists dismissed it as glare or a cosmic ray strike. But then, the object's motion was confirmed across multiple frames. It wasn't static, it was gliding. It appeared right where astronomers predicted the interstellar visitor should be. This was no coincidence. What's even stranger is what happened around the rover after that moment. Swirling dust devils rose suddenly across the Martian plain, pressure readings spiked, and a vast storm began forming on the horizon, right as the object passed overhead. The timing was too perfect. And when Perseverance's sensors detected subtle electromagnetic disturbances, fluctuations that matched the object's coordinates in the Martian sky, even the skeptics went quiet. Because the last time a camera on Mars captured something unexplainable, it didn't move like this, and it didn't seem to respond to observation. When the first data came back from Perseverance and Mars orbiters, scientists noticed something no telescope on Earth had ever recorded. Sunlight behaved differently around 3I Atlas. Instead of scattering randomly, it twisted, polarized, and bent in ways that seemed to follow invisible patterns. Polarization is the fingerprint of light, the way its waves align when bouncing off dust or gas. But around this object, that alignment wasn't just strong, it was extreme, almost unnatural. The negative polarization measured from 3I Atlas was more intense than any comet or asteroid ever studied, reaching levels that should be impossible under normal conditions. It meant that the dust surrounding it was either made of materials unknown to science, or structured in a way that suggests deliberate design. Some researchers even proposed that the light might not be reflecting at all, but emitting from within. A silent beacon disguised as scattered sunlight. For the first time, the universe wasn't just shining light on an object. It seemed the object was shining back. While Perseverance's image showed only a faint blur, leaked data from Mars orbiters began to hint at something else. A shape. Not spherical like a comet, not irregular like a rock, but elongated, structured, controlled. It resembled Oumuamua, the first interstellar visitor that baffled scientists years ago. But this time, the details were clearer. 3I Atlas wasn't tumbling chaotically. It was steady, balanced, purposeful. Even more mysterious was its tail, or rather, its absence. For most of its journey, 3I Atlas had shown no visible tail at all, an anomaly that already defied the physics of sublimation. But as it neared Mars, a thin, thread-like tail appeared, faint, narrow, and unlike anything ever seen. Then it disappeared again. The object's stability, the rhythm of its light, the disappearance of its tail, all of it hinted at mechanisms we don't understand. And yet, perhaps the most unsettling revelation came from its trajectory. It wasn't random. It followed the ecliptic plane of our planets, as if aligning itself deliberately with the solar system's geometry. That's when Avi Loeb and his team took notice. He divided the object's anomalies into two disturbing categories, those that might be explained someday, and those that probably never will. Among the latter were two coincidences that sent shockwaves through the scientific community. First, the timing. 3I Atlas arrived exactly when it would pass near Mars, Venus, and Jupiter, a synchronized pattern too precise for chance. And second, its direction. The object's entry point into the solar system was aligned within just 9 degrees of the WOW signal, the famous radio burst detected in 1977 that many once thought came from extraterrestrial intelligence. Could 3I Atlas be connected to that decades-old mystery? Or worse, could it be responding to it? Because when scientists calculated its mass, more than 33 billion tons, far beyond what interstellar space could produce naturally, they realized something chilling. There simply isn't enough material between the stars to form something this large, this dense, this perfectly balanced. Which leaves us with one terrifying possibility. Maybe 3I Atlas wasn't born out there. Maybe it was sent. As scientists began to analyze the faint spectral readings captured by the Perseverance rover's instruments, they discovered that the dust surrounding 3I Atlas was unlike anything ever recorded. It wasn't behaving like frozen carbon, silicates, or cosmic ice. It was reacting. Each particle seemed to interact with sunlight in an organized way, forming micro-patterns that shifted as the object approached Mars. Normally, dust is chaotic, billions of grains tumbling freely through vacuum, but this dust acted as though it was obeying instructions. Its reflective properties changed rhythmically, almost like a programmed sequence. Some researchers even noticed that the polarized light pulses occurred in regular intervals of time, mirroring the Martian day-night cycle. How could an interstellar object, born light-years away, synchronize with Mars? The only explanation left on the table was that it wasn't synchronization at all. It was imitation, as if 3I Atlas was learning, observing, adjusting its own luminous signature to match the patterns of its environment. The idea that a comet could mimic planetary behavior was beyond science. It belonged to something far more deliberate. Just as scientists began to understand the strange optical behavior of 3I Atlas, the Sun intervened. A massive coronal mass ejection erupted from its surface, a storm of plasma and magnetic fury racing across millions of kilometers. And when it reached the region where 3I Atlas was traveling, everything changed. The object vanished from telescopic view, not disintegrated, not destroyed, simply gone. No reflections, no signals, no trace. Mars orbiters that had been monitoring its motion lost contact within seconds of the solar burst. At first, NASA blamed the solar interference, but when the plasma cleared days later, 3I Atlas didn't reappear. Then, faintly, Perseverance's sensors began picking up unexplained electromagnetic echoes, subtle, repeating pulses, originating not from the sky, but from the Martian soil itself. It was as if the object's presence had triggered something beneath the surface, something dormant. Data packets from the rover showed a spike in subsurface ionization, a kind of electrical whisper that seemed to follow the same rhythm as the light polarization pattern recorded days earlier. Somehow, 3I Atlas had left a signature behind, not in the sky, but embedded in the red dust of Mars. By the time Earth-based observatories regained visibility of 3I Atlas weeks later, it was already accelerating toward the Sun. But before it vanished behind solar glare, a final observation shook every assumption about what this object could be. When astronomers enhanced the light polarization data, they noticed repeating ratios embedded in the signal, not random reflections, but mathematical sequences, prime numbers, Fibonacci intervals, the golden ratio appearing over and over in the structure of the light waves. It was as if the object wasn't reflecting sunlight, but modulating it, embedding coded information within the photons themselves. And when those patterns were plotted across a three-dimensional field, something even more chilling appeared, the geometric outline of the Martian orbital plane. It was broadcasting a map, not to itself, not to us, but to somewhere beyond. The implication was clear and horrifying. 3I Atlas wasn't just passing through, it was transmitting. And Mars wasn't just a waypoint, it was a relay. While the world debated whether 3I Atlas was natural or not, new simulations from the European Space Agency revealed a pattern that defied coincidence. When plotted backward, the trajectory of 3I Atlas aligned almost perfectly with the positions of 3 major planets, Mars, Venus, and Jupiter, forming a geometric pattern that resembled a tri-spiral, an ancient symbol found in cave art across Earth. Some dismissed it as numerical coincidence. Others believed it was a form of cosmic geometry, a path intentionally carved through space to interact with gravitational fields in a precise sequence. But there was something else. When extended further, that same alignment pointed toward a specific region of interstellar space, the same direction from which the mysterious "wow" signal had originated nearly half a century ago. The realization sent shivers through the astrophysics community. If 3I Atlas came from that direction, and if its motion wasn't random but calculated, then maybe the signal we received in 1977 wasn't a message, but a countdown. And if that's true, then the Mars image captured by Perseverance wasn't just a scientific milestone, it was a confirmation. A silent acknowledgement that something ancient, intelligent, and vastly beyond human understanding is moving through our system, and it knows we're watching. As Mars orbiters slowly regained visual contact with 3I Atlas, a strange optical anomaly began to appear over the planet's northern hemisphere. Instruments detected what appeared to be a faint aurora-like shimmer, not caused by atmospheric particles or magnetic storms, but seemingly projected from the surface upward, as if light itself was being reflected back into space. This glow pulsed every 147 seconds, perfectly synchronized with the electromagnetic frequency previously detected by Perseverance. When NASA scientists enhanced the data, they discovered something far more alarming. The reflections weren't random. They were forming coherent geometric patterns across the Martian terrain, triangles, arcs, spirals, all aligning with the precise path 3I Atlas had taken through the sky. These weren't mere distortions. They looked like instructions, maps written in light. It was as though the object had left behind a layer of optical resonance, using Mars as a mirror. Some theorists even proposed that this glow wasn't coming from Mars at all, but through it, as if the planet itself was reacting to the object's passing, like a memory reactivated after billions of years of silence. As the James Webb Space Telescope locked onto 3I Atlas once more, it recorded traces of carbon-based molecules along the object's tail, but these weren't ordinary carbon structures. They were hyper-organized, resembling the lattice patterns found in synthetic nanomaterials, far too refined to have formed naturally. These molecular alignments displayed properties similar to graphene, yet with stability that surpassed anything humans have engineered. When mapped across its surface, these patterns resembled neural pathways, branching, intersecting, self-similar. It was as though the object wasn't just a piece of rock or ice, but a kind of brain, a thinking structure, a machine made of matter that learns. The implications were beyond comprehension. If 3I Atlas was capable of encoding data into its molecular surface, then every interaction with light, radiation, and gravity could be part of a larger process: observation, analysis, adaptation. Humanity wasn't looking at a comet. It was looking at cognition in motion, an intelligence traveling not through space, but as space. Then came the most chilling discovery of all. Deep space radio arrays across Earth began picking up an ultra-low frequency hum, a resonance buried beneath cosmic background noise. At first, it seemed unrelated, but after several analyses, scientists realized the signal matched the same polarization rhythm detected around 3I Atlas and the Martian reflections. The frequency wasn't random, it was harmonized to the exact rotational cycle of Mars, echoing the planet's day like a heartbeat. It was as if the object had locked onto Mars, or perhaps Mars had locked onto it. Some researchers began referring to this pattern as the resonance, a communication, a feedback loop. No one could say. But then, for the first time, the signal shifted, slightly, but enough to match the delay between Mars and Earth's orbital positions. In other words, it was adjusting to us. The realization spread through research networks like wildfire. Whatever 3I Atlas was doing, it was now aware of both planets and responding in real time. The cosmos had turned into an interface, and humanity was unknowingly part of the conversation. While Earth's scientists argued over the implications of the resonance, Perseverance continued transmitting data from the Martian surface, data that revealed one final anomaly. During one of its routine imaging sessions, the rover captured faint markings in the soil that hadn't been there days earlier. When analyzed under different wavelengths, these markings formed an interconnected grid of points and lines, almost like a star map. The coordinates, once decoded, didn't correspond to any region within the solar system. Instead, they traced a path outward, beyond the heliosphere, toward the galactic core. But when the path was projected backward, it didn't begin in deep space. It began beneath the Martian crust, near an ancient impact basin rich in magnetic minerals. The implication was impossible to ignore. 3I Atlas hadn't just passed near Mars. It had interacted with it, perhaps even activated something buried beneath its surface, something that had been waiting for a signal. And if that's true, then Mars isn't just a planet anymore. It's a relay, a transmitter, and 3I Atlas was the key that turned it on. In the weeks following the mysterious signal alignment, strange readings began to emanate from the Martian crust. Orbiters from the European Space Agency and NASA detected subtle thermal anomalies spreading across regions once considered geologically dead. Beneath the vast plains of Utopia Planitia, seismic sensors registered rhythmic vibrations, not random quakes, but pulses, evenly spaced and coordinated. The pattern matched the frequency emitted by 3I Atlas before it vanished behind the sun. It was as if the planet was now breathing, its pulse synchronized with something invisible above. Dust storms began to form with eerie precision, spiraling into perfect hexagonal shapes. The Martian magnetosphere, once weak and unstable, showed bursts of magnetic coherence, as though an external energy source was briefly recharging it. Scientists were baffled. For decades, Mars had been silent, frozen in its desolation. Now it was awakening, not naturally but rhythmically, almost mechanically. Whatever 3I Atlas had transmitted, it had reached its destination. Mars was no longer just reacting to solar wind. It was responding to something deeper, as if the planet itself had remembered how to move. As if connected by some unseen thread, similar disturbances began appearing on Earth. Magnetic observatories in Iceland, Siberia, and the Pacific reported sudden fluctuations, waves echoing through the planet's magnetic field, perfectly synchronized with the Martian resonance. Animal migrations shifted erratically, birds altered flight paths, and whales began to beach themselves in massive groups, disoriented by the invisible frequency humming through the oceans. Even the Schumann resonances, the electromagnetic heartbeat of Earth, began to change pitch, something that had never been recorded before. The pulses matched those originating from Mars. Humanity was unknowingly vibrating in harmony with another world. The James Webb Space Telescope, still observing the region of space from which 3I Atlas had entered, recorded a faint energy signature emerging from the void, a slow, deliberate repetition of the same geometric pattern Mars had projected in its aurora. For the first time, scientists realized that the planet wasn't merely echoing a signal, it was amplifying it. Earth and Mars were now part of a larger system, a resonance loop stretching across millions of kilometers, powered by something not of our design. It started subtly, strange echoes inside the Deep Space Network's communications. Signals sent to Mars began returning with slight distortions, not random noise, but coherent patterns buried deep in the binary data. Each transmission contained minute variations that, when decoded, formed repeating spirals, identical to the tri-spiral geometry traced by 3I Atlas's original trajectory. The implication was horrifying. Something was intercepting our transmissions, copying them, and sending them back modified, as if replying in our own digital language. At first, mission control assumed interference or a hardware malfunction, but the patterns appeared across multiple antennas on different continents, all synchronized to the same timestamp. Then, without explanation, Perseverance transmitted an unscheduled data packet, one that contained no readable telemetry, no imaging data, only a single repeating binary stream, 010101, interrupted by long pauses that matched the rhythm of the resonance signal. When converted to sound, it produced a low, pulsating hum, eerily similar to the frequency detected beneath Mars. The rover wasn't just sending data anymore. It was relaying something, or someone, else's message. Then, after weeks of silence, the skies changed. The James Webb Telescope captured a faint reflection just beyond the orbit of Venus, a shimmer moving against the solar glare, tracing an identical path to 3I Atlas's original trajectory. But this wasn't the same object. Its spectral signature was inverted, like a mirror image. Scientists described it as negative light, an absence that glowed. When magnified, the object's surface revealed the same elongated shape as 3I Atlas, yet composed of darker matter that absorbed nearly all visible radiation. It was as though 3I Atlas had left behind an echo of itself, a counterpart formed from the very photons it once emitted. The reflection moved in perfect synchrony with the signals still pulsing between Earth and Mars. It wasn't heading toward the Sun, it was aligning with Earth's orbit. As telescopes across the globe focused on the anomaly, a terrifying realization spread among astronomers. The light wasn't just being reflected toward us, it was targeting us. The pattern of illumination matched our planet's rotation, shining brighter over the side facing Mars, as if marking us in the same network it had already awakened. Humanity wasn't just observing 3I Atlas anymore. We were now part of its design. For decades, we've looked to the stars believing we were the ones searching, the ones sending messages into the void. But maybe we were never the observers at all. Maybe we were the observed. What started as a faint blur in a Martian sky has now evolved into something far greater, a chain reaction linking worlds, frequencies, and light itself. The Perseverance rover didn't just capture an image, it triggered a response. Mars wasn't merely a bystander. It was the first mirror in a network stretching across space and time, a mechanism that had been waiting patiently for an intelligent gaze to activate it. And when humanity finally looked close enough, when our machines dared to see beyond reflection, something out there saw us too. As 3I Atlas faded behind the sun, it didn't vanish. It transformed. The mirror image detected near Venus, the synchronized frequencies between Mars and Earth, the repeating geometry carved into our atmosphere. All of it points to a single conclusion. The object was never a traveler. It was a key, a construct designed to awaken dormant systems hidden within the planets themselves, systems that predate our understanding of life, technology, or even existence. And now, those systems are awake. The James Webb Telescope's latest readings confirm a final anomaly, a pulse emanating from deep interstellar space, echoing the same tri-spiral pattern traced by 3I Atlas. Only now, it's returning toward us. The signal is massive, organized, and deliberate. It's as if the object wasn't calling home, but home is answering. Scientists are divided, terrified, and silent, unsure whether what's coming is communication, observation, or something far older. Perhaps 3I Atlas was never a comet at all. Perhaps it was a probe, a messenger, or even a trigger. And if that's true, then the first image captured by the Mars rover wasn't just a discovery. It was the moment humanity announced itself, loudly, to a universe that had been listening all along. Now the question isn't what 3I Atlas is. The real question is what happens when its reflection reaches us. Because when the light returns, will we recognize the message? Or will we realize, far too late, that it wasn't a message at all? It was an invitation. So what do you believe? Was 3I Atlas truly a natural visitor from beyond the stars? Or was it the beginning of something waiting patiently for billions of years to be seen? Let us know what you think in the comments below. And if this story made you question everything you thought you knew about the universe, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and share this video with someone who still believes space is silent. Because maybe, after all this time, the silence wasn't empty. It was waiting, and now it's finally speaking back.